On January 4, 2026, North Korea launched several ballistic missiles from Pyongyang, sending a message without words. The launches, the first in 2 months, happened just as South Korean President Lee Jae-Myung began a state visit to China. President Lee was scheduled to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping to discuss peace on the Korean peninsula. North Korea's timing was no accident. It's a classic tactic to assert its presence during major diplomatic events. By launching missiles as President Lee arrived in Beijing, Pyongyang forced its agenda into the spotlight. The act was a direct challenge to the peace talks and a reminder of the region's volatility. North Korea often uses military provocations to gain leverage and ensure it isn't sidelined in international discussions. The world watched as the missile launches complicated hopes for diplomacy. For leaders in Beijing, the launches underscored the urgent need for stability. North Korea's actions were designed to pressure China and remind everyone of the difficult path to peace. The day, which began with diplomatic optimism, was quickly overshadowed by military provocation. The launches highlighted the ongoing instability and the challenges facing Northeast Asia. North Korea's message was clear: it will not be ignored. The Korean peninsula's future remains as uncertain as ever. Ballistic missiles are powerful weapons launched into the air, following a high arc before crashing down on their targets. They can travel from hundreds to thousands of kilometers, making them a serious threat. North Korea has developed short, medium, and long-range missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. Each test helps North Korea improve its missile technology, making them more accurate and reliable. The real danger is what these missiles can carry: conventional explosives or, more worryingly, nuclear warheads. A single nuclear-armed missile could cause catastrophic destruction. This is why the world is so concerned about North Korea's missile and nuclear programs. The United Nations has repeatedly demanded that North Korea stop these activities, but Pyongyang continues to defy international pressure. Every launch violates UN resolutions and raises tensions in the region. For neighbors like South Korea and Japan, even short-range tests are a direct threat. The recent launches, though short-range, are a stark reminder of North Korea's growing arsenal. Each test is both a technical step forward and a political statement. The world cannot afford to ignore these provocations. North Korea's missile tests serve multiple purposes. Technologically, each launch is a chance to refine their weapons, making them more powerful and accurate. Politically, the tests send signals to rivals and allies alike, often timed to coincide with major events or perceived threats. Domestically, Kim Jong-un uses these displays to boost his image and rally support, especially before key political gatherings. The launches are also a bargaining chip. Pyongyang creates crises to extract concessions, like sanctions relief or aid, from other countries. This cycle of provocation and negotiation is a core part of North Korea's strategy. The latest tests were a message to both Seoul and Beijing. North Korea demands to be part of any discussion about the peninsula's future. Kim Jong-un's regime uses these moments to strengthen its hand at home and abroad. The world is forced to respond, keeping North Korea at the center of attention. Missile tests are both a tool of power and a call for negotiation. As missiles launched from Pyongyang, President Lee Jae-Myung arrived in Beijing for a crucial state visit. The trip was meant to strengthen South Korea-China ties and address economic cooperation, but security concerns dominated the agenda. North Korea's provocations put immediate pressure on the summit, forcing leaders to confront the region's instability. President Lee hoped to persuade China to use its influence to bring North Korea back to talks. China, as North Korea's main ally and economic partner, is seen as the only country with real leverage over Pyongyang. The missile launches made Lee's mission more urgent and complicated. Instead of focusing on positive cooperation, the summit began with crisis management. The visit highlighted both the potential for partnership and the deep divisions that persist. President Lee's diplomatic efforts faced a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. The Korean peninsula's security overshadowed all other issues. The stakes for peace and stability have rarely been higher. President Lee Jae-Myung's strategy is built on engagement and dialogue with North Korea. He believes communication and cooperation are the only paths to lasting peace and eventual denuclearization. China is central to this vision. Its unique relationship with North Korea could help restart talks. Lee's administration hoped to secure a commitment from President Xi to play a more active role. But North Korea has repeatedly rejected Lee's outreach, responding with military provocations instead. The missile launches during his visit were another clear rejection. Despite setbacks, Lee's team insists that diplomacy is the only viable option. The alternative, escalating military tensions, is too dangerous for the region. By involving China, Lee aimed to break the deadlock and create new momentum for peace. The challenge: convincing China to use its influence for constructive change. China's role on the Korean peninsula is a delicate balancing act. As North Korea's main ally and economic lifeline, China has unique leverage, but also much to lose if instability erupts. Beijing wants to prevent chaos on its border and officially supports denuclearization. Yet, it fears pushing North Korea too hard could cause the regime to collapse, leading to a unified Korea allied with the US. China often calls for calm and dialogue, but rarely takes decisive action. During the summit, President Xi had to balance global expectations with loyalty to Pyongyang. China's typical response is to urge restraint from all sides, criticizing both North Korean tests and US-South Korea military drills. For President Lee, the challenge was to persuade China to move beyond words and take real action. The world is watching to see if Beijing will step up. China's next moves could shape the region's future. North Korea's missile launches triggered swift reactions from South Korea, the US, and Japan. South Korea increased military vigilance and coordinated closely with its allies. The US, with troops stationed in South Korea, condemned the launches and reaffirmed its commitment to regional security. Japan, also threatened by North Korean missiles, quickly issued statements and worked with the US on defense. The three countries have strengthened trilateral cooperation to counter the North's growing threat. Internationally, the UN and others called for stronger sanctions, but enforcement remains difficult without China and Russia's full support. Despite years of sanctions, North Korea's capabilities continue to advance. The world is left searching for more effective ways to respond. The missile launches are part of Kim Jong-un's broader campaign to showcase military strength. Just before the launches, Kim visited a munitions factory, demanding a dramatic increase in weapons production. State media broadcast images of Kim inspecting new missiles, reinforcing his image as a strong leader. These weapons, especially short-range tactical missiles, are designed for use in a potential conflict with South Korea. Kim's focus on military development is timed to build support ahead of the upcoming Ninth Party Congress. Recent weeks have seen him touring military sites and overseeing tests, all carefully publicized. The message: North Korea's military is advancing rapidly, and Kim is firmly in control. These displays serve both to intimidate rivals and to rally domestic support. The buildup is part of a calculated effort to consolidate power and set the stage for future policies. Kim's military-first agenda remains at the heart of his leadership. The events of January 4, 2026, deepened the divide on the Korean peninsula. South Korea pursues diplomacy. North Korea doubles down on military power. This fundamental clash makes a peaceful solution elusive. Tensions are likely to rise, with both sides increasing military readiness. Diplomatic condemnation and calls for new sanctions will follow. But real progress depends on China's willingness to act. North Korea is expected to continue weapons tests, especially ahead of its party congress. The peninsula remains one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. On one side, genuine efforts for peace. On the other, relentless pursuit of power. Bridging this gap will require patience, strength, and unprecedented international cooperation. The path forward is uncertain, but the stakes could not be higher.